Next question is, what is the pushing factor when comparing two similar applicants? So I know that you guys get thousands of applications every single year, and these applications may be extremely similar. So what is that pushing factor that pushes one application over another? Is it a 20-point boost in the SAT score? Is it an extracurricular? Is it one higher class rank? What is it? I'll go to Janessa first.
Oof, all right. Well, I can share with you, and this is just coming from like a broad perspective of working and even in like in selective and highly selective settings, is that a lot of times it has nothing to do with the numbers when we're splitting hairs at that point in terms of figuring out who should be admitted to the class and who we put on the wait list and who we may not offer an offer of admission at all. And when it comes down to it, it's really the pieces that Matt and Mary just touched on. It's about who you are and how you're presenting yourself, whether that is through your activity section of your application, of your writing, what we get to gain from your storytelling, and how you're becoming a community fit within our institution. And so it's usually not the scores, which is so interesting. It has a lot to do with who you are, but also not who you think we want to see, but it's actually who you are in our process that helps. And so that's the kind of the broad sense I would bring to the conversation.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add on to that in our previous webinar with another admission officer, the admission officer stated that SAT scores and standardized testing isn't as important as you think it is. And I think the point was that, the question was, if I already have a 1520 SAT, should I bring it up to a 1550? And I brought up the point that, well, it depends on the time you have, right? If you have a better alternative, and if you have an alternative where, that SAT studying to get you up to that 1550 will take you a long time to study for. And with that time, instead, you could found a new club, you can indulge in another extracurricular that may be a better use of your time or a better application boost than that boost in SAT score. So I just really wanted to bring that up because it kind of tied with the point brought up a webinar ago. Next, we'll go on to Matt.
Benjamin, I love that point. I never met anybody who thought back on high school and remembered the time they brought their SAT score up 30 points. That never, right? The other thing I would say on this particular question is that in our school, this doesn't happen. We don't get down to two applicants and we're pitting them against each other and we're comparing them one-on-one. We're comparing our students against a set of things that we're charged to look for in our applicants. And that's what the holistic review is about, is to see students who we think will be academically successful, who we think will be good community members on our campus, who we'd like to have as a roommate or a classmate or a student. And we're judging against those criteria, not comparing one student to another. So that would be my pushback on the question a little bit.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Mary.
Again, I'm going to echo what Matt said. Comparing applications like that is often like comparing apples to oranges. It's impossible to do because every high school has a different curriculum. Every student has had different experiences. So I think the question here is making an assumption that we're putting two applications next to each other and kind of trying to split hairs in that way. And that's not how it really works, at least not where I am.
All right, thank you so much. Lastly, we'll go to Jua.
Yeah, I echo what everybody else said. This is definitely not the way it works. I'm thinking about our process last year. We had around 113,000 applications. Yeah, it definitely does not work that way as far as comparing one student to the other in that way. It's so many other factors that Matt touched upon and Janessa even talked about as well that have to come into play, and we're actually building a class, and that's our thought process. the fit, building a class. What does our pool look like? That pool may look different every single year. And when we're looking at the holistic admissions process and considering context of where you all are attending school, how are you maximizing your resources, all these other very factors that you always hear us talk about in different settings, it never can be simplified to this way. So I agree, pushing back on it. What I will say is that students, and we've talked about this, and it goes back to maybe the first question dealing with your essays, students who can truly and effectively articulate their story and who they are as a person may have a better chance from the standpoint of you're able to give us the detail that we need to learn who you are as a person. I tell most of our applicants do great on our campus, but then we're tasked to building a diverse class. So what are those other things that we're looking for? We can't assume in reading your application. So it's your task to tell us this information. Tell us if your grades dropped over a time period, what happened? Tell us about, again, your involvement, leadership, contribution. So for me, students who are able to really utilize the applications, as I always say, as the tool that it is, and really are thorough in detail, going back to my former point, in telling that full story, for me, have a better chance, at least for any of us, at least to get a better sense of who you are as a person, versus those who leave a lot of gaps in your story. You leave us guessing about several different things. So literally when I finish your application, I'm a little confused because I really haven't gotten a chance to understand who you are as a person and honestly why you even want to be on our campus. So that's not going to benefit you in the process. So I will say that as well, just about actually just filling out the application. But again, I echo everything that my colleague said already.